Today we're going to chat all things custom design websites and template designed websites. So if you're wondering what a website template is or what the difference is between that and a custom site, this episode is going to be a great place for you to start. Welcome to the Up in My Business podcast with me, Lex Lancaster, where you'll get an inside look at all things tech, business, and my life as a physical therapist turned digital operations expert. You'll hear all about my lessons as a business owner, the ins and outs of tech for your business, and more. From SEO, websites, and email marketing to automations, launches, and copywriting, I've got you. I'm so excited you're here. Let's dive in. Taking a minute to thank our sponsor. The sponsor for this episode is Jane App. You may be familiar with Jane. Of course, you're familiar with Jane because I talk about them all the time. They're an all-in-one practice management software, making it easy to book, chart, and bill all online. They also offer a fully integrated PCI-compliant payment solution called Jane Payments, which is designed to manage all of your payment needs. The team at Jane knows that they play an important role in protecting your data, and that's not just your client health records, but also credit card information. Jane Payments is PCI compliant, which helps your business keep your client billing information safe and secure. If you're curious to learn more about PCI compliance with Jane Payments or want to book a one-on-one demo with a member of their team, head to jane.app/payments. Again, that's jane.app/payments. You can also mention the show Up in My Business for a 1-month grace period on your new Jane account. You can also use the code LEX1MO, so LEX1MO, for your first month of Jane free. Welcome back to another episode of Up in My Business. My name is Lex. I am ready to go today. We are going to jump right into the content of this podcast episode of template versus custom website design. I am going to just quickly remind you that I do have a wait list going for brick and mortar in-person SEO retainers, so search engine optimization retainers, basically just done for you SEO work for your business. If you want to jump on that wait list, make sure you do that. It's at the link in my bio on Instagram, as well as the show notes, because we are not writing Instagram captions right now. We're on a podcast episode. And also, I have to let you know as well that Shantae and I, we have our coaching program coming up. Make sure you jump on the waitlist if you're interested in that. Long story short, it is basically going to be a place where you get strategy as well as tech implementation tips and execution. So it's a strategy and implementation built into one coaching program, and we're super pumped to start that. So feel free to sign up for the interest list in the show notes that is linked there. So without further ado, let's jump right into website templates and custom web design. So I have people who contact me about websites all the time, of course. It's one of my main services. And a lot of folks, they're wondering if they need a custom website or if they need something that is essentially, let's just call it like a structured site. So a site that already exists as far as design, and then they just need to add their own content. So if we break that down, a website template is a website that is previously built. So it's already built and you're taking that template and customizing it to your business. So you're taking that template, adding your colors, your fonts, your copy, your photos, all of the things. You're just not doing the design work, which is the hardest part in my opinion, because if you don't have that design eye, obviously it's going to be very difficult to do that part of the job and it will take you a long time. So that's what adds a lot of time to the whole project. Now, let's talk custom design. Custom design is basically saying we're going to start from scratch, zero idea of the layout of the site, and build a site that is custom for your business. So if we talk about cost for those two different things, right? A template is going to be much, much cheaper than a custom designed website. We obviously can sit here and say, well, a custom design is going to take a lot more time for a designer. It's going to be a lot more back and forth between the designer and the consumer. It's going to essentially have its own custom look, which means that that design mind of the designer is going to need to be engaged, right? So it's not a previously designed something. We're starting from absolutely scratch. So when it comes to choosing a template versus custom design, obviously you're going to have to think about cost, and we'll get into that shortly. But the difference between those two, the biggest thing is obviously the level of service you get. So either you have a website that is custom designed for you, or you have a website that was already designed and then you're going to customize it yourself. Now, you might be thinking, well, why would I choose a template for my business as a health and wellness entrepreneur? In my opinion, most health and wellness entrepreneurs do not need a custom website. All of the same things are needed by people that are in the industries that I work with. So chiropractic, PT, OT, fitness, we all need the same stuff. We need to have a homepage that lists out it's essentially our business sales page, an about page, services pages, like what we actually do, contact, and then we need to have some place where we might have a blog, we might have a place to schedule, we might have an Instagram link page. We all need the same things. So to have a custom website built for you, in my opinion, is sort of a waste of money if you have the option to do a template. Now hold this thought till the end of the episode because I'm going to tell you my blend between a custom and a template and what that looks like in my business. So because all of the sites are relatively the same, quote unquote, and have the same needs, there isn't really a reason to have a custom design for the businesses that I work with, right? So if someone says to me, I want a custom website, I always say, well, why, right? We're going to go through what you need. And then I'm going to say, good news. All of the things that you need are the same things that the other people need. Now, you might be thinking, well, what makes it different then, right? What makes our website different? The content, of course. The content, the photos, how you portray yourself online. That's what's going to make your website different, right? So even if two people use the same template that I have templates on my website, and I'll link those in the show notes. But if you use the same template, two different people, their websites are going to look entirely different. And you can see that on my website. I have some examples of people who use them. Their websites look completely different. So just because you start with a template does not mean you're going to have the same website as everybody else on the block. So just my 2 cents on the template versus custom, right? So when you're sitting down and you're thinking, should I get a template? Should I do a custom site design? The biggest thing to think about is what do you actually need, right? So if a template fits all of your needs, right, it's going to be better to start off with because a lot of people in this industry are type A, and that's not a bad thing. I also am sort of type A when it comes to design work. We always want to see the end result before we start. We know that. And I think a lot of people will nod their head and say, yeah, I would love to know what something's going to look like before they start. It's kind of like if you're going to have a custom artwork, a piece of artwork done, and you're like, this is what I want. This is kind of the vision I have. And this is what I'm looking to portray with it. Actually, let's talk about a tattoo, right? The artist will then take that tattoo, what you're talking about, they'll draw it out, and then you get to say yes or no before it goes on your body. It's very nice, right? But if you don't have that option to say yes or no before it goes on your body, what if it went on your body and you were like, whoa, I hate this thing, right? Now, I understand a website is never that permanent. I get it. But what I have had is people pay for custom websites and then they end up hating the result because they have no idea what the custom site was going to look like before they started. And we can see the value of thinking, okay, this is what my website's going to look like. I like this. I like the look of this. I like how this flows. Let's have a website that looks like this. Instead of saying, I really would love if we did this on my site and this on my site, you can already start to think in your head, most of us do not know what we want, but we know what we don't want. So when you're talking to a designer, you might be able to say, hey, I don't want X, Y, and Z. But still, they may not land the job. They may not complete the job to the standard that you want and give you a design you like if you don't know what you like, which I've seen get people into high water when they don't know. And when that happens, custom designs are $5,000 plus. I mean, I have someone who paid $30,000 for a website that doesn't work. Literally doesn't work. 30 grand. And I think about that and I'm like, that is a lot of money to have something not work at the end of the day. So when I'm saying this, I'm not trying to scare you into like never doing a custom site. That's not my goal, but I'm trying to inform you that templates are not like cookie cutter. And we all understand what that would mean in a practice. My exercises are cookie cutter because they're the same as the person down the block, right? A lot of us do not like that. We want to have our own flavor, our own twist. When you say template, I think people automatically, or template, depending on how you say that word, I say template. People automatically think that it's going to be the same. And I think that it's not a negative connotation. It's just, it's more or less apprehension. People are like, well, is it going to be the same as everyone else? And I get it. Like, I totally get that. I don't want the same shoes as everybody else. I don't want the same shirt that everyone else is wearing. I don't want to go to a wedding and have the same dress as 10 other guests. Like, I get this. I understand this. The biggest thing to understand with a website template is that just because you start with a template does not mean that you are going to end up with the same looking site. So customization, right? Customization is going to be higher in a custom design, but also understand you can fully customize a template as well. So that's something that's different between the template and the custom site. Now, another thing that I want to make sure I touch on, template versus custom, and I'm just going to tell you this now, is that I like to blend the two. So I have an option in my business where I call it my do it in a day, where I take my templates, but I customize it to the business and I do it for them. So if someone wants a website, but they don't want to do it, they don't have the time to do it, I'll say, okay, well, let's pick a template and then we're going to work together and I'll do all the grunt work. I'll put everything together. I'll build out the site. I'll put your photos in. I'll put the copy in. I'll do all that stuff for you. But you just choose a template to start with so that you have an idea of what your website's going to look like before we start. So that's my blend of the template and custom site. I actually blend them together and I call it my do it in a day. So oftentimes people will call on a discovery call, they'll say, and this is where I'm going to say is, I don't think you need a custom website. I do not think most healthcare practitioners who are in cash-based PT, who are cash-based chiro, who are chiros, who are PTs, you don't need a custom website. When we talk about that template versus custom, but template custom blend, do it in a day, people are oftentimes thinking, okay, so if we have two options, template or do it in a day, just whacked my mic, template or do it in a day, the first thing we're going to talk about is cost, right? So a template right now on my website, you can get a template for $400. A do it in a day is $19.97, so just under $2,000. The do it in a day is obviously done for you. The template is you do it. So what we're going to talk about today, instead of saying like, do you need a custom site or do you need a templated site? I'm going to tell you that this is how you would decide whether or not you want to do a template by yourself, or if you want to do a do it in a day where you get something done for you, which is a customized template and a done for you service. So if you are thinking about cost, obviously that's going to be your first factor. Investment wise, that cost, like I said, is $400 for the template, just under $2,000 for the do in a day. Now, I also have a bunch of add-ons that you can do, like SEO, you can do copywriting edits, copy edits. You can do a lot of different add-ons for these packages or for the do in a day, which I love because it gives people options. Such as, scheduling setup and Jane optimization. You can add all these things onto your do it in a day and I can make it all happen for you when I build your website. So when you're thinking about investment though, you have to decide, am I going to spend less than $500 or am I spending just under $2,000? Now, always bear in mind or keep in mind, most times payment plans are accepted for the do in a day, just so you know. And this is not a sales call for my do in a day. I'm just letting you know. I don't care what you end up doing. I don't care if you do the template or the do in a day, or if you go hire someone else for a custom design. My biggest goal here is to essentially get across that you do not need to have a custom site, and templates are a great place to start. That's honestly where I would just say, this is my message. The reason why I'm talking about my do it in a day is because if you are someone who does not have the time to do a template and to find the time in your schedule to learn how to use the system and then put your copy in and make sure that all the design looks good on your own, then you're going to have a solution. And that's why I want to talk about both of these solutions. So once again, deciding between the two, another big thing that you have to think about is being early on in your business or being super seasoned. So if you're an early business owner and you just opened, using that template can be really awesome because you have a lot of time in your schedule. You have the time to sit down, think about your services. You have the time to think about, how do I want to talk about my services? You have the ability to learn how to use that website backend because you're not necessarily chock full of patience. It's a great time to learn. If you're someone who is later on in your business and you're like, I don't want to do it because I don't have time, or I don't want to do it because I don't care to know how to do it, then a do it in a day would be a great option because you can keep trading patience and then your website gets built for you on the back end, right? So deciding between that, it's always up to you as far as, do you want to do it? Do you have the time to do it? Do you like doing it? And then you choose between those. But when you're early on in business, I actually push people to do the template, the lower cost option. One, because it's like, hey, I don't have a startup cost of $5,000 for a website. Because, by the way, people do charge that for a beginner's website. And the best thing about that is that when you're starting off in your business, I can bet all the people that are listening now, if you're listening and you have a business and you've had a business, you know that your services have changed over time. So if you have a service that you used to call something else, or maybe it has the same name, things have definitely changed in the way that you portray that service. So when a custom website is used, it worries me because early on in business, it's super helpful to be able to map out what you think your service does and what person you're serving and what is that service overall. And also, when you learn the system, when things change, you can go in and make those changes. So it's super, super helpful to be able to sit down and do the template because then you're really comfortable with the system overall. So when you're late in business, obviously, if you don't need to make the changes yourself, cool. I have people who also just have the template and then, they do that 1 year and then the next year they're like, I'm too busy to make changes and I'm ready. So then they just do like, a one-off thing and they have me update it. So all the options, obviously, but template versus a do it in a day. The biggest thing you have to understand is, do you want to do it? Do you have the time? And where are you at in your business, right? When we talk about, let's just say, learning the platform, a good thing to know is that regardless of what you choose, if you're going with Squarespace, there is, I'm going to say like a 99.9% chance that you will have zero problem managing the platform as far as doing the things that you actually need to do on the website when you need to do them. So people will often say, well, if I do the template, I'm going to learn the thing. And if I do the do it in a day, I'm not. You'll learn the system regardless. So I wouldn't necessarily base your decision off of that because the system itself is super simple and I have tutorial videos. So when you're choosing between the two, you don't necessarily have to choose between those. And lastly, I want to say, do you want to do something, right? So if you want to do a template, cool. You can sit down, dedicate 2 to 3 hours a week, maybe more. I've had people fill out their templates in 12 hours and I'm like, who are you? You are a superhero. Or if you don't have the time to do that, then you don't want to do the DIY service. Like, don't do the DIY. So I am keeping this episode super short simply because, like I said, my whole goal is to have you know and understand that a templated website does not mean cookie cutter. And I think that cookie cutter obviously has that connotation within this field that it's like, well, I don't want to choose that. Instead, what I invite you to think about templates when it comes to websites is that when you start with a template, you just are able to see the design that you're going to have at the end of the day before you start inputting things, right? Before you actually have the site built for you, before you spend thousands and thousands of dollars, right? And I don't mean the do it in a day cost of $2,000. I mean the $10,000 mark when you ask for a custom website from a different designer. So that's like a huge thing that I want to relay is like, if you have the time, if you have the capacity, if you don't mind technology, the website templates are a great place to start. And if you're a new business owner, it's great to start with a template because you simply get to take the time that you would be, working in your business and work on your business. Get your website up, right? And people oftentimes, I don't love the way that the website design industry is at all. I think that people are fed a lot of poor information about where they should host their website or what the website should cost and what they need on their website. And I truly, truly believe that when you're starting a business, because I did this, when you start a business as a new, PT clinic or whatever clinic you're creating, you don't have a ton of money to throw at things that don't necessarily bring you back money. Now, does a website bring you back money? Not really. You don't see that right away. Am I going to sit here and say that yes, it does? Technically, yes, it does. But you don't see that. You don't see the ROI on your website right away. So you're thinking in your head like, cool, I am being told to spend $2,500, $3,000, $5,000 on a website, but I will see $0 back from that, right? Because you can't really measure that right away. So I understand. And the reason why I created those templates or templated website is because I need people to be able to create a website without spending thousands of dollars when they first start up. It's not feasible. I remember what it was like to buy all the TheraBands, all the weights. You had to buy all the plates. You had to buy all of the tables. You had to buy the towels. You had to buy everything. And when you're buying all that stuff, all the things that you actually need to treat are going to come first. The website, while it is super, super important and you need one, you put it on the back burner because it's not directly related to patient care. So when that happens, people don't get a website because the only prices they ever hear about are the $2,000, $3,000 mark. So when it comes to website templates, I will shamelessly pitch my Squarespace templates for health and wellness professionals simply because I know the value that they provide for new business owners and people who can't necessarily afford a fully custom site. For people who are ready to have the process done for them, also going to shamelessly pitch my Do It in a Day service. When you use a Do It in a Day, we do start with a template because I truly believe that starting with a template is the best value that I can provide to you because you will always, always know what that end result is going to at least look like almost in its entirety before we even start, which is a great thing. And I love that and I appreciate that as a consumer as well. So that's really all I have for you today. I was asked this question on Instagram and that's why I answered it, is because they just said like, I'm a new business owner and I don't know if I should do a website template or if I should hire someone right away for custom website design. My biggest warnings that I want to make sure I say to you all on this podcast episode is that if you are someone who is being pitched, $5,000 plus for a website, I would just kind of be like, okay, this is the cost, but what am I getting from it? And do I actually need to spend that much money? People always say like, I'd rather start off on the right foot than have to go redo it later. Cool. I love that for you. That's amazing. Yes. I would also argue that the custom website design process may not be the best fit still, only because if there's a template that exists and you can pay someone to do the customization of it, that might be even better. And you can ask whatever website designer you're working with, like, hey, do you have website templates? Because I could pick from one of those instead of doing a custom design and you can just customize it for me. I'm not trying to tell you that you have to go with me. I'm just telling you that these are options that you do have when you are seeking out a website service. Now, my other thing about templates, and this is a very gentle reminder, is that some people genuinely don't like to use technology. I will say that I have people who tell me they hate tech, they don't like tech at all, they break technology. They do just fine with website templates. So if you're someone who doesn't do well with tech, I think you need to take it upon yourself to try the template if that's the cost, the price point that you can afford. And if that's the experience that you want, I feel no shame in you trying it out. And then also knowing that you can always upgrade to a Do It in a Day if necessary. The other benefit is that with a template, at least with me, if you choose one of my templates, it also comes with a 45-minute Q&A call. So we can do a lot of things on that if you have questions throughout the process. But the biggest thing here is just understanding that don't let the things you don't necessarily know much about, like website design or buying a website, don't let that hold you down as far as like making a decision about how you should get your website built. I just think that people have the wool pulled over their eyes all the time in this industry, and they end up spending a ton of money when they don't have to. So please let me know. Schedule a discovery call if you have questions. I always want to talk to people first before we decide what's good for them, because you might think you want to do in a day, but like really a template will be just fine and you can save some money. It's just a lot of people are being pitched these huge website fees and then also having their website being built on platforms that they can never manage by themselves, by the way. So then they're just kind of stuck paying money for the rest of their life for no reason. And their bottom line for their business is essentially going down, and it stinks and it's not fun. So that's what I got for you on website template versus custom. And what I really want you to take away is that a template is not the same as cookie cutter. It is not, it does not mean that it's a cookie cutter approach. It does not mean that your website's going to look exactly like someone else's. Just having different photos alone will make your website different. So that's all I got for you. I hope you understood the big difference here that I'm getting at, not necessarily pitching my services, but because they exist, I'm also going to talk about them, because I would do you a disservice if you didn't know what I did as far as website design goes. So template versus custom. Hope you enjoyed it. Please let me know if you have more questions about this, because I'd be happy to do another episode on any topics in relation to it. And I thank you so much for joining. I will catch you next time.